It's 1140 AM, KYOK Conroe, and 92.3 FM, K222CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
Kelsey! How are you?
Yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it?
All right.
Game time. What time is it? Let's go. We ready. We ready. We ready. We ready. I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house.
When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? It's hot now. It's hot now. Let's go. It's hot. We ready. Let's go to the house. Let's go to the house.
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this trying to be the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to go through the Jets route. Is it back? Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from that. He's a man. They can be a hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's who I did. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world.
What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it?
What's up, Malik? I see you.
Let's go. Let's go, by y'all. Let's go. We ready. Let's go to the house. Let's go to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Oh, man, now this game ain't over. In fact, it's just getting started right out the box. I mean, we right out the gate, right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It's our Winning Wednesday. And, you know, I don't ride by myself. In fact, we got one part of Three the Hard Way. 2/3 of us are here just waiting on David Grubb. But, ladies and gentlemen, she's back. Kelsey Nicole Nelson. What's up, Kelsey?
Hey, it feels good to be back. Thank you for not forgetting about me.
Man, little sister, we cannot forget about you. And Wednesdays are not the same when you're not on. I'm just telling you now.
I love it. I can't wait to stay with you guys and be here with you guys. Wednesdays are my favorite days of the week because of you two. So
don't tell us that now. We're young, we're impressionable, we're going to believe you. Now, I know today is a very special day. Yes. It's your father's birthday.
Yes, my daddy's birthday. So excited. I'm going to be here with you till he calls me down, and we're going to go surprise him for his birthday. But I'm so excited for him. Truly one of the finest men out of Grambling State University. So, look, I'm excited for him.
Oh, man, I wore the wrong shirt today. I wanted to give him some.
He's always going to probably not even want me to come to birthday dinner. He's going to be like, no, it's not that show you did. Just stay upstairs with your mama's child. Watch, it's coming.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, we want it to be a very special day for your dad. Again, I know you're going to have to go when it's time to go take him to celebrate him. And do celebrate your king, because that's an amazing man. I know that's right.
Big in the Nelson household.
That's all right. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. I'm like this, man. I'd rather celebrate birthdays than some of these other, what I call Hallmark holidays, where people have to tell me to go love on somebody.
Yes, birthdays are so much better. And then again, as you get older, you're wiser. And then again, it's a blessing every day you're alive. So to celebrate a birthday, you cannot take for granted, because not everybody gets that moment or that chance. And of course, my dad is kind of who got me into sports. So it's a really special day to celebrate him. And hopefully he's proud of what I'm doing. And I'm the oldest child. So, you know, you kind of got to set the tone and the trend when you're the oldest.
Wow. We just found our line of demarcation. I'm the youngest. You're the oldest.
See?
Y'all, man, y'all messing up for everybody. Y'all messing up for everybody.
Y'all are spoiled. We had to do the hard way. Y'all get the easy, the babying and stuff. So
I just am what I am. I'm mom and dad's favorite. That's all I am. That's it.
We still love y'all though. Someone has to.
Kelsey, I mean, it's just so good to have you back. You've been slamming some amazing shows on Listen In with KNN. Talk about your last couple of shows that you've had and the amazing guests that you've had and topics as well.
Thank you. I mean, the last show, I was an honor to have David Aldridge talk about someone who's in the Hall of Fame for his broadcasting work, like a true icon and a true legend. It's just been amazing. And I had Jesse Iwuji on. So, I mean, he's a NASCAR driver, Nigerian American NASCAR driver, just doing truly, truly amazing things. So it's been amazing.
He was hilarious. Y'all's show together was phenomenal, man. I mean, that was a fun show to watch.
I appreciate it. See, look, I'm showing you my dad's calling.
It's time. Well, listen.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Again, we're just glad to have you for the time that we did. Please tell your father happy birthday. Y'all enjoy it.
Hey, Dad, somebody's going to say happy birthday to you. Go ahead, AJ.
Happy birthday, sir. We are so glad to celebrate you on your special day, all the way from Houston on the sports talk show called The Lunch Break.
Thank you so much, AJ. He said thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. Have a great one.
All right, you too, Kelsey. She's got to go. She's going to go celebrate her dad's birthday.
You tell David I said hey.
I sure will. He'll be in any minute, so we'll hold it down. We'll see you next week.
I'm watching in the car, though. I'm going to be listening.
Take care, Kelsey.
Thanks, AJ.
All right. It was so good to have her again. I knew she was only going to be able to be on for a few minutes. And y'all, if y'all are not following Kelsey Nicole Nelson, you got to do it. You got to do it. Follow her on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Her show is called Listen In with KNN. And she does, man. She has legendary guests. She had David Aldridge, who is a legendary Hall of Fame broadcaster, journalist for his work in the NBA. And then, she had on the NASCAR driver. That was great. And I'm telling you, man, she's just a phenomenal young lady. I'm glad to be able to call her friend and to be able to connect with her. So y'all do me a favor. Show her some lunch break love. All right. Let me get this in before David gets in here. Rocket fans think that the Rockets, they might as well just cancel the playoffs and give the trophy to the Rockets based on one game. And I'm a Rockets fan, and I'm trying to figure out, where is Dr. Aki? That dude, literally made me get off of social media last night because he was tripping. I'm serious, man. I'm like, bruh, it's one whole game. I'm just trying to see what's going on. And have y'all forgot where are my short memory Rocket fans at? Somebody find Dr. Aki. Somebody find Dr. Aki Davis. Do y'all not remember the Rockets having great games where they just look unbeatable? Like all the threes are falling like crazy, and then all of a sudden they can't buy a 2, a 1, or a 3. Let me go to the phone line. Hello, you live on a lunch break. Who this?
Rockets ain't about that life.
Man, I'm Todd. Bruh, what is wrong with these Rocket fans? Do they have short-term memory loss or long-term memory loss? I forget which one it is.
This is what Rocket fans do every year. Well, this is what they do after they lose in the playoffs. They'll say, we'll get them next year, right? And then next year get here, then they get caught up in that moment, and they cash that L again. You're not going to win playing like that. Look, the Thunder is a scrappy little team, right? They play hard, but they have no firepower. You got Chris Paul that's 35 years old, by the way, right? And outside of that, it's a bunch of young dudes and Steven Adams. You should beat them.
Todd.
I'm not excited. I watched the whole game last night. Rockets played well. Give them credit. But the Thunder's no elite team.
Todd, we got to get ready to take a break. But Sidney Brown, one of the co-owners of the Texas Phoenix Fire, the women's champions of the XFFL, says, yep, cancel the rest of the playoffs. Just give it to us. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. This is a rerun. I have seen this picture before, and I hope it ends better than it did the last time. Let me take this quick break. I want to come back with Todd right after this on the lunch break.
I'm Linda J. We all know Election Day is just around the corner. We want change. We need change. We can be the change. Exercise your right for change on Election Day. Don't talk about it. Let's be about it. So let's roll to the polls in record numbers, and we can make that change. This message is approved by KYOK 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOKradio.org.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
Tell you how you can get real health insurance for as little as $6 a day. Yes, now you can get affordable health insurance for you and your family immediately, starting at just $6 a day. And coverage is guaranteed regardless of your medical condition. That's right, for about $6 a day, you can have guaranteed health insurance. And there's dental, vision, and prescription coverage too. You owe it to yourself and your family to make this free call right now and learn more. There are no deductibles, no waiting period, no contracts, and coverage is guaranteed. Call National Health right now for your risk-free guaranteed health insurance quote starting at just $6 a day. Call now.
800-797-0921. 800-797-0921. 800-797-0921. That's 800-797-0921.
I'm Ben Tankard, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, let me get back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday, and I want to appreciate Kelsey Nicole Nelson for dropping in for a second. Y'all who follow her, be sure and wish her dad a happy birthday. All right, Todd, let me come back to you. Sydney Brown says, hey, I'm a Rockets fan, and I agree. She says, I'm a Rockets fan for life, but you guys are absolutely correct. And I'm with her, man. She says we're just feeling ourselves, but you guys are correct. Chris Paul had 20, 10, and 9, almost had a triple-double. Got 29 from Gallinari, 17 and 12 from Adams, but the young guys, they had a tough night. That's what happens when you play a young team. Watch this. The Rockets could get blown out by 30 tomorrow with a young team like this, and having to depend on the guys that showed up to play, Jeff Green, Eric Gordon, Ben McLemore. They got nothing from Rivers. They got nothing from some of the other guys that they counted on. PJ Tucker had 11. That don't happen all the time.
Yeah, in the NBA, veteran teams win championships. In the Thunder, outside of Chris Paul, and Adams, it's a bunch of young dudes. It's a young squad. And Roberson,
Roberson is a shell of himself. I felt bad for him to be out there looking like he did. I mean, he's coming off of having played basketball in almost 2 seasons, and you can tell he's still not 100%.
Yeah, just, with the Rockets, if the Rockets really want that smoke, wait till you play the Clippers. The Clippers are going to have the perimeter defense to lock down all that shooting. Now, James still going to get his. You know, even in the series that they've lost in the past, which have been several, he still gets his numbers. But the Clippers will have Paul George, Kawhi, Pat Bev, all those guys to lock up all that perimeter stuff.
Well, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about. That's what I want to kind of talk about today. Hold on, Todd. I'm trying to do like 10 things at one time. Bear with me a second. Oh, right there. Looking at what happened with the Rockets, looking at what happened with Milwaukee, I don't really want to throw the Lakers in there just yet, but I can. Can teams win with a singular player being the focus of the team? Like, can James Harden lead the Rockets to a championship, not a first-round win over Oklahoma City? Can Giannis Antetokounmpo lead his team to a championship and with his style of play? Same thing with LeBron. Can he do it by himself?
I don't think so. Not in today's game. I think with the teams he'd eventually have to go against, they're going to have the players to lock all that down, and it would be too hard. Like, let's say Westbrook was out the whole first round. Could Harden by himself kind of carry it with some help from the others? Because there's enough shooting around him where he's kicking that ball. Could they beat the Thunder without Westbrook? Yeah, they could beat the Thunder without Westbrook. But once you get past that, if you're going to have to, I don't know what their second round matchup would be, if it's the Thunder or the Lakers or whoever. Once you get past that, that's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be a lot of weird. And we've seen Harden in the past tire out later in the later rounds.
Yep.
You know, there's just too much. It was just too much for him. So yeah, he can get past the first round, but once you get to that Western Conference Finals, if you've been going the first, second round all by yourself, once you get to that third round, I don't think you have enough left in the tank.
Just so people don't feel like I'm picking on the Rockets, and I'm not. I am a legit Rocket fan. Remember when Derrick Rose was the league MVP for Chicago, and he was up against the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James and the guys, all right, Chalmers and Haslam and those guys. Man, Rose was playing his behind off. I mean, when I tell you, I walked away with major respect for Derrick Rose. But he could not by himself beat 3, 4, and 5 other guys. And that wasn't taking anything away from the other guys for Chicago. The thing was, he literally had to depend upon a different guy every different game to step up. And then finally, Chicago figured it out. Miami figured it out. Shut them down, and let him try and win by himself. And mathematically, it's literally almost impossible.
Yeah, and that'll be the same thing against, the Thunder. It's a miracle they even made the playoffs, to be honest with you, with that roster and the guys being so young. I never saw that happening. Billy Donovan should be coach of the year for that job.
He definitely. I think he was a finalist. I know he's a finalist.
Yeah, to get that group. Literally, when I'm watching the game, I'm like, I'm like trying to think. Okay, they got Chris Paul. Steven Adams can give you a little bit, right? He's good on defense, get a lot of boards, give you a little bit on offense. But I'm looking at these other dudes, and I'm like, Alexander will be nice one day. Got a couple other guys, but they're just not ready yet,
Yeah, Alexander looked like the proverbial deer in the headlights last night. And the kid can play.
Yeah, it's just not quite. By the time he's ready to play, Chris Paul will be retired, or moved on to another team. But no, it's, once they get into them later rounds, the Rockets, that is, think about it. When I was watching the Clippers the other night playing with the Mavs, it was like the Clippers got down, and I was watching, like, Clippers going to come back. They'll turn it on. They'll lock up the defense. And they just got too much depth. And that Clipper depth is going to wear James Harden. Because Mike D'Antoni teams, he's going to run James Harden into the ground 45 minutes. And the Clippers can throw – they got too deep. and they'll tire him out.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm not ready to just go ahead and give up this first series because, again, with a young team like that, as bad as they looked last night, they could look like the Rockets did tomorrow. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Rockets defense that they played yesterday, bruh, I ain't seen that defense all year long. I mean, where'd that come from? Did they pack that and bring that to the bubble? Because let me tell you, that defense right there was – but, again, it was against young players. Nobody really got on other than Chris Paul, Gallinari, and your boy Adams. So, It's not hard to play defense against those three guys when everybody else is making it easy for you to defend them. Again, man, I don't see Green going off like that for 3 more games. Okay, you got to win 3 more. Are you going to expect Green to go off for 22 for the next 3 games? And then, of course, you didn't get anything out of Covington, so you expect him to step up. PJ Tucker can score 11 today, 3 tomorrow. Eric Gordon can score 21 today and look like he's never played the game tomorrow. Daniel House had 9. He could have 4. I'm just saying, you're going to get 35, 40, 45, 50 from Harden. You just don't know if you're going to get 21 from Gordon, 22 from Green, 14 from McLemore, and so on.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just, like I said, the Thunder's defense just scrambling, being out of place. Jeff Green was a good pickup. Veteran guy, been around a long time. Obviously, still got something left. Wish the Lakers would have got him. But I think a lot of that has to do with, just some of those guys on the Thunder just not understanding the defensive rotations, just kind of being out of place. But,
So according to Rocket fans last night, it's over for the Rockets. It's over for the Lakers. I'm sorry, over in a good way for the Rockets. It's over in a bad way for the Lakers and Milwaukee. So what do we say? If it's over for the Lakers, I don't see the Rockets beating Portland. I'm sorry. Rockets played well last night, but did you see Dame Lillard hitting it from the logo? I mean, they literally have to pick him up from the inbound in order to make sure he ain't popping all over the place.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Blazers is when Nurkic was out a long time, right?
Yep.
He had that injury. So when people say they're not a typical 8 seed, is him being out was a big part of them losing games. But they still should have had, with him and CJ, I'm surprised the record wasn't as bad, as better than what it was. But, when people say it's not a typical 8 seed, there's some truth to that because Nurkic is a big part of what they do. He didn't play a lot earlier in the season because he was still coming off that injury. Carmelo's given them more than anybody would have thought. Gary Trent playing well. So it'll be interesting, man. Do I think the Blazers could beat the Rockets? Man, that's a good question. So that, for me, when it comes down to that, is I know Lillard's going to do what he does because he always gets fired up playing against Russ. To me, that's going to come down to what CJ can do. If him and CJ can have a really big series, I think they got a chance.
Well, all I know is CJ last night had 21. He was 3 for 8 from 3, hit some big ones. Nurkic 16 and 15. Anthony 11 and 10. They blocked 8 shots, bruh. They blocked 8 shots. So if you're not hitting from the outside, you're not getting anything on the inside, especially with Covington being your biggest man that you got. This is what I'm saying, man. Small ball works great in spots, but when it's just, you cannot teach height. You cannot teach size. And at some point, those extra shots, extra rebounds, extra block shots are going to come into effect. I mean, think about it. The Rockets a few seasons ago went 0 for 27. So what are you going to do? You're just going to keep putting them up? You got to be able to rebound the ball. You got to be able to defend. and you got to be able to put the ball in the basket. And again, prisoners of the moment. We saw the Rockets beat up on a young team, many of those young guys in their first playoff action, and now everybody's ready to go Dennis Green. They were who we thought they were. If you want to crown them, crown them. I wish I could say it like he said it, but I'm on a Christian radio station. But hear me, Rocket fans, it is not over. You're not facing Portland tomorrow. You're not facing the Clippers tomorrow. You got Oklahoma City tomorrow. And guess what? Those young guys might not want to be embarrassed. They might come out with some pride about themselves. So anyway, Todd, David Grubb has joined us. Let's David, I hate to hit you with this right off the rip, but the breaking news with Darius Geis and the fact that there's some reported that some of the stuff was reported and Orgeron and the powers that be did nothing about. Todd, I know you wanted to get to that. I asked the question for you. So go ahead and hang up and listen, Todd. We'll talk later. Todd? Oh, he did it already. All right, David.
The first thing is I'm never surprised when you hear that university programs cover up for their players. I'll say that part. As far as the allegations against Darius Geis, we need to take them extremely seriously. We need to treat them with respect to the alleged victims. We need to, make sure that this is handled better than we handle most things when it comes to sexual assault. Because the first thing that's going to happen here is, how the process goes. People are going to attack the woman. They're going to ask why you're waiting so long to tell these stories. What did you do? Where were you? All those things are going to happen before we get to whether or not Darius Geis did what he did, which is the wrong way to go about this. Right. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like if we talk about the street, it don't matter if you're walking around the street with $100 bills in each hand. You don't have a right to come up and rob that person, right, no matter how stupid they may be about, street smarts. Right. But so if a woman is doesn't matter if she's at a party, it doesn't matter what, you don't do you don't do things without consent. But the part about these programs, Michigan State, Florida State, Baylor, Penn State, SMU, Penn State, Maryland. When is it new that this is what they do? And this is the problem of having athletic departments ultimately operate as independent bodies. These are things that should have been handled by the university, by the dean of students, by the whatever university tribunal that exists. Those people should be involved. The Baton Rouge police should be in trouble for not pursuing these to a stronger degree. So all of those agencies failed in this process. Darius Geis is going to have to be held to account for whether or not he did these things. But I look at what Vanderbilt did decades ago when they eliminated the athletic department as an individual body and put it under the student services department, eliminated athletic dorms, eliminated all those things, and just said, you are part of the student body and you will be treated as such. Most schools aren't willing to do that. And I think that's in this summer and in this time of reexamination of all of our institutions and what they do, this again shows that you cannot trust coaches, athletic directors with upholding the integrity of a university, because ultimately they are there to win games and keep money coming in, and the kids are tools to that end. And whether or not they become decent people is a bonus on the other end. But mostly you're trying to keep them eligible. And in some cases, you are trying to keep them out of trouble. But it's never really about the university doing what's best for these young men, because I would rather have Darius Geis have lost out on an NFL career early on and understand that if he did this was how wrong this is, and start to correct that behavior, than have him in this position and have the university's integrity compromised, to have the state of Louisiana's integrity compromised, the Board of Regents' integrity compromised, and all those people who will come out to defend Darius, not as a person, but in this instant, you've compromised your integrity as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That whole, he's one of ours, and I mean, please don't get me twisted. Nothing has been adjudicated, nothing has been litigated or anything like that. And I still believe in innocent until proven guilty. But we've seen enough in college sports. We've seen enough with Baylor. We've seen enough with Michigan State. Heck, Ohio State still has stuff going on that you got Congress people.
And they all do. All, like, to a large extent, you're not going to find, look, North Carolina grade tampering, in your town how many times a guy from U of H may have been at a bar off campus, got into a scrap, the arrest happens, next day he's back on campus and he's running, maybe running some stairs or something. I remember the national championship game, Florida State was playing against Virginia Tech. Remember Mike Vick in the Superdome against Florida State, Peter Warwick, Chris Winkie, all that. Sebastian Janikowski, night before the game, stayed out on Bourbon Street all night, didn't miss bed check, but he played that national championship game.
Yeah,
there's no concern for the development of those young men.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm just kind of, Todd posted, I need Coach O fired if proven he was a part of covering this up. When we look at Baylor, what went on down there with Bryles and his son and all those situations.
Or go back to basketball with Baylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You covered up a murder, murder.
Yeah, and Kim Mulkey has done nothing to, calm be the voice of reason. And it just, her comments with everything that happened there just shows why the athletic department should not be running anything that has to do with, legal and investigation and all of that. It's almost like they're just a bunch of jarheads that are just going to, just shout the team mantra. And we don't need that right now. We need to get down to the bottom of the truth. So in your opinion, if it comes out that Ed Orgeron or someone in the chain of command in the athletic department or the university as a whole got these reports, didn't do anything with it, let him play, what should happen?
They should all be fired. If you enable sexual assault on your campus, you are in charge of protecting every student who steps onto your campus. You're in charge of protecting every person, visitor, guest, whomever. And if you did this, you intentionally did this, then you don't deserve the right to be around students. You don't deserve the right to have education be part of your title. You don't have the right to come into my home and tell me you're going to take care of my child because I see how you take care of other people's children. That's somebody. Ed Orgeron has and again, it don't matter if you have a daughter, a wife, a mother, whatever. As a decent human being, if somebody is coming to you and you know about this trauma that they are saying, even if you don't know if it's true or not, first of all, I mean, we already know the vast majority of cases when women report sexual assault go unprosecuted. Then we know on top of that, the ones that do get prosecuted, the vast majority of them end up without a conviction. And the convictions that do happen, you talk about, we go back to Stanford and the swimmer who gets 18 months and then gets let out early. While his victim, who was behind a dumpster and got saved by two strangers, she's got to live with that the rest of her life.
Rest of her life, yeah.
And the university, you get judges talking about, I don't want to ruin his life. Yeah, he's got a lot to give to society. That's what's going to happen here. Do you in your mind, do you doubt that if this went into a courtroom? And I was a big Darius Geis fan. I thought he was a better running back at LSU than Leonard Fournette was. But if this is the case, man, this is bigger than football. This is about humanity. All these things are big. This is about your humanity. What do you care about people? And if you have anybody, any player, this is not breaking a team rule. You have no supervision over these types of things. But that, like you said, that's the problem. We allowed athletic departments to operate as their own private industries. And they have, in most cases, the coach is more powerful than the university president. He's more powerful than the athletic director in a lot of cases because we see coaches outlast ADs all the time.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's why I was lobbying, and I'll admit it, and let Franco Harris come after me. I was lobbying for Joe Paterno to be fired and for his name and likeness to be taken down, because out of anybody in that initial room, Joe Paterno had the power. Out of anybody in that room, Joe Paterno had all. I don't want to hear about what the president of the university said and vice president said and all that. Joe Paterno was in that room and did nothing. And for him to say, I just waited for them to handle. No, you're Joe Paterno. If you follow up will happen. If you check on it, checking on it will happen. But for him to do nothing, I'm sorry. All your legacy, all your history, all that's there. But the Joe Paterno now has to go. He has to go. And I hate to say this, it's the same thing with Ed Orgeron. I've always said that Ed,
Mike D'Antonio up in Michigan State, you enabled sexual assault and you didn't report it.
Right. So. But let me just get this out, because you and I both know I got on purple and gold, not for LSU today. LSU is a different animal. LSU prides itself on being a different animal. LSU is one of those. We're LSU, and a lot of the stuff that they do say, I'm not going to say get away with, but a lot of ways that they think is so indicative of the South, of a privilege, of a whole lot of things. Is LSU going to be able to hold itself accountable here, or outside entities going to have to come in and hold LSU accountable for something that LSU feels like they're above and beyond?
LSU doesn't do accountability. When Will Wade went through his issues with the FBI, caught on tape saying that he provided financial incentives for players to come to his team. Will Wade still got a job. The AD is gone. You know what I'm saying? The AD is gone. Will Wade is still there. And so LSU is also in a very unique position, because there are very few universities in this country that are major players in a sport state challenger for that title. I mean, LSU is the undisputed king of the state of Louisiana. Every other state, you got multiple allegiances to other schools. Texas A&M, whomever you want to throw in the mix, Baylor, everybody's got a team. In Louisiana, LSU is everybody's team to a large extent. So that power that they wield is very strong indeed. And if you're going to think that they're going to, the coach who gave them a national championship, the local guy with who embodies what LSU wants to be in that regard in their public presentation, I wouldn't hold my breath. I wouldn't, if they found out that Ed Orgeron personally escorted Darius Geis from the alleged victim's house or something like that. Ed Orgeron, I don't think he gets punished unless the NCAA steps in, or the federal government or a prosecutor has to step in, or if a civil suit is brought against Ed Orgeron for these things, then it might get too hot. But we know the cycle of these things, because even when Art Briles lost his job, a year later, people are inquiring about hiring him.
Yep. Yeah, he's a high school football coach right now in the state of Texas.
And he shouldn't be around any kids. He shouldn't be. He's demonstrated that he is not qualified to be around young people. He makes bad decisions.
This is where it bothers me that rape and criminal activity gets politicized. No one made again, Orgeron has not been convicted of anything. No one made Art Briles not report what he was given the information for. No one made Joe Paterno, Mike up there in Michigan State, not report those things. Those were decisions they made. It is not a witch hunt. It is a bad decision and consequences, accountability for what you chose to do and what you chose not to do. This is not political. This is right and wrong. And oh yeah, by the way, everybody else, when they do wrong, there are consequences. Why are certain people politically, in the minds of others, above the law?
Because of what they gave them. And Orgeron gave LSU a national championship. And that's more valuable to LSU than anything else. You know, you've seen the movie Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Or have you read the book? Either or.
The movie and the TV show.
So what's the scene at the beginning of the movie right after they lose the first game? When they talk about the stadium and they say, stadium's part of the school, ain't it? Stadium costs more than school, so what? It's part of the school. They use it, don't they? And then you have the same folks who are saying, what? Football coach should make more than the principal. Ain't nobody, nobody's coming to 40,000 people. They coming to see chemistry class, which is always the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because without chemistry class, you ain't got no university. Anybody showing up? You can't fill up a university without the courses, but there's always that. Nobody's coming to see them. Or there's always an excuse that the culture, and it starts early. Right. It starts early. Those same high school kids, those same 7th and 8th graders, once they've been identified as stars or potential stars, they get treated differently. They start getting excused when they do the wrong thing. People start covering for them because they got to be available on Friday. And, he skipped class. Well, he'll make it up later. Or he did something wrong. Remember, it's coach sitting in the, you see coach sitting there. My boy's too much trouble for you. You saw it at Florida State with Jameis Winston. And you have the prosecutor laughing at the press conference. This is the attitude that these towns have, that college towns know that the schools drive them. They can't upset the school because that's the money for the city. And particularly about the sports, they ain't touching nobody.
David, let me take a quick break. We'll be right back with more. David Grubb right here on the lunch break.
3 FM, the legendary KYOK.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payment. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident, or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break. All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday. We had Kelsey Nicole Nelson on earlier. Her dad celebrating a birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Nelson. And now we got David Grubb joining us, the last member of Three the Hard Way. And David, man, again, I thought we were going to be reporting or talking about comments made by Nick Saban about spring ball being like JV ball, and you know they need to award these kids, they need to play the college football championship playoff and all that. And then here we go with rape allegations against Darius Geis while at LSU. One of the things that stood out, and a name that really needs to get out there as well, is the tennis coach who apparently got the report and just flat out said, I didn't believe her and I don't believe her, when the young lady's dad brought the information to her as a coach. I'm sorry. Believe it or not, you've got a responsibility to report.
Not anymore. Betsy DeVos. Changed Title IX, weakened it, made it harder put more of the burden of the proof now on the victim. So thank you to 45 and his minions for making it even harder for women to get justice on the college campus. And we know the numbers. We know how many women are raped or sexually assaulted on a yearly basis throughout this country on a college campus. You're more likely to know somebody who's been through sexual assault than you even realize. And yeah, your basic responsibility in any of those situations. If I came to you and said somebody punched me in the face and you didn't believe that it happened, or punched me in the stomach or whatever, at the very least, you're going to put the two of us in a room and say what went down. And then we need to take it to a higher person if y'all can't have the same story. If the two of you got a different story, now we got to go take it to a higher person. But I mean, that's at the minimum of that. But when you're talking about sexual assault, the first call is to the police. That is that. It is not, like you said, it's not for you to determine whether it's not about whether you believe it or not. There has to be an investigation. And then that's how we decide whether, or we try to, we fail at this obviously a lot in this country, but you try to have some type of impartial investigation. But at the very least, your intellect should tell you, if I give it over to these people and they fail, nobody can say I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I need to speak up if nobody else does anything about this. If I go to my higher ups and they say, we got this, and I never hear back, then I need to speak up about that.
That's what happened with Joe Paterno. He supposedly reported it. Nobody did anything, and he never followed up. I'm sorry, you got to go. I'm trying hard, bro. I really am. I try so hard. I really do. But one of my favorite movies was the Alien series with Sigourney Weaver. And in one of the movies, they said, I say we take off, get above and nuke this thing from below, from above. It is just a wonder that somebody does not figure out how to get above this planet and just nuke it and we start over somewhere else. Because, man, this is crazy. Out of all the things that you want to take away is somebody's ability to prove or have to report that they have been assaulted, sexually assaulted. That's the one thing you got to go over. You got to get rid of that. What are we doing?
You've seen people kicked out of school for physical altercations with another student. And this is far more intrusive, far more destructive, far more impactful on a person's life. This is something they have to live with for the rest of their life. They never forget these things. This is you can get past it and continue to live your life, but I've never met somebody who is a victim of sexual assault who doesn't have those memories, who doesn't live with it on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we've heard Gabrielle Union talk about her situation, in her life. And so here she is many years past that. And it's still an important part of what she does and how she deals with the world. So knowing the weight of all of that, for you to dismiss it, to neglect doing the follow-up, and to, especially if you say my players are the representatives of the university, that they are examples to other people, then you are demanding a higher standard. So the moment that you feel that standard has been breached, you got to either make an example of that person, or again, go through the process. Both of those things have to happen. And lastly, I'll say this. When you look at this over and over again, the history has shown, whether it was Lawrence Phillips, who dragged a woman by her hair down a staircase and beat her while he was at Nebraska and was back in time for the national championship. Whether it's Demetrius Underwood, whether it's all these, we can go over and over. The names don't change. The years don't change. This is pervasive. And the fact that the NCAA, the fact that the state lawmakers have never done anything about this, it shows you the way we feel about women in our society, and it shows you the way we feel about athletics.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely stay on top of it. It's a developing story. Darius Geis accused of sexual assault, rape by two different women. He had recently been let go by the Washington football team for a violent situation there. It makes me wonder if there's some connection to all of this. But what's crazy is they've been working, the USA Today and other entities have been working on these stories for months. This is not, all of a sudden. So folks are going to say, oh yeah, why now? They've been working on these stories for months, and they've been out there, for years. And, again, people didn't do what they were supposed to do. And that's why it's just coming out now. So
yeah, there's always a reason when these things don't come out in a timely fashion. There's a purpose to that. And when universities say for the sake of protecting the program, they're not allowed to talk about player discipline. And their students, again, they're students. First and foremost, that's what you keep saying. So treat them like any other student. And that is not the case. And even I guess it is treating them like any other student, because male students who do sexual assault on campus don't get in trouble either. So I guess you are treating them like every other student. But those coaches in particular and administrators, if that information comes to you and you don't act, yeah, you should be fired immediately without any thought. It shouldn't even be a question.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be a question. If Louisville was really willing to fire Rick Pitino over being adjacent to an assistant providing prostitutes to their player, then you should be fired for this, for even the smell of this smoke around you.
Yeah.
I don't want the impression. If I'm a university president, I don't want the impression that I allow this to happen on my campus, that this is the way we work business-wise. No, you can't do it.
Yeah, and that's why you got a lot of schools that are really at odds between the president's office and the athletics department. There are a lot of schools that realize that it's out of order, when the athletic department is driving the governance of the school, then something's out of order. And unfortunately, some of these school presidents come into these jobs knowing that that's the case, with some hope that they'll be able to be the ones to turn it around. And far too often it ends up being the other way around. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this. David, you got a bunch of Rocket fans running around like they won the NBA championship last night. You got a bunch of Laker haters that are running around like Portland is the best thing since the Golden State Warriors.
Did I tell you Portland was going?
We both said it, but I'm just saying, man, I literally had to mute a friend of mine last night off of social media because He was killing me, man. He better be glad we locked down with Rona. I'd have knocked on his door. Yo, man, calm down, bro. Calm down.
I had my fun with it last night because I told people when the Anthony Davis trade went down, it's like, this is what he does.
You know what? I'm going to have to call you out, man. Stop being mad at Anthony Davis.
It's not mad. It's the truth. That's the whole thing. You're not bitter if you're telling the truth. I said this is – go look at anything I've written about Anthony Davis in an actual article, because I take my petty shots. Everybody does. That's fun.
Okay.
In real analysis, I said this is what happens. He is going to do the things that he did last night. He could not score a basket without an assist. And that has been the MO for his career. When you look at it, this year was one of the lowest years for him in getting assisted baskets. All of his offensive numbers were down to the lowest levels that they had been in like 5 years, his efficiency numbers. So you tell me, if you're put in a situation where LeBron James at the point where you're in the second half and he's got 13 assists and the rest of your team has one, that tells you this guy here, LeBron is not the same LeBron at 36. Nobody is. Nobody's the same. He's not 29. He's not 25. You saw it. He did not shoot the ball well last night. None of the Lakers shot the ball well last night. But if you have a guy who's supposed to be one of the 5 best players in the league, 6'11", supremely talented, and he refuses to put his behind in the low post when your team needs a bucket.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, somebody wrote the article that said that the Lakers cannot win with Anthony Davis trying to be just a jump shooter. So
I've been saying that for years, though. I've been saying that for 4 years.
I know they heard you. They heard you. Let me get Sybil Wilkes on real quick, and then we'll break it down, because according to some, it's over for Milwaukee, it's over for the Lakers, and the Rockets are the team to beat. So we'll handle those topics. We'll handle those topics when we come back right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all new 92.3 FM.
Nationwide return to college campuses, schools are reporting hundreds of positive COVID-19 cases. At least 155 students in one dorm at Colorado College in Colorado Springs are now.
How much time I got in this one?
After a student who tested positive did not practice.
I'll wait. I'll get the water after this next one.
Health officials with the FDA are warning of potential accuracy issues with a widely used coronavirus test could lead to false results. Last month, health officials in Connecticut reported that at least 90 people, mostly nursing home residents, received false positive results. Researchers at the University of Southern California say they've discovered that the symptoms of the coronavirus tend to appear in a specific order. According to the study, the most likely order of symptoms is fever, then cough, then muscle pain, followed by nausea and or vomiting, and lastly, diarrhea. Please visit SybilWilkes.com to subscribe to my free daily newsletter. Be informed, be empowered.
My name is Devon McDonald from Jamaica, play with Indianapolis Colts, and you listen to the lunch break.
All right, y'all, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, right before the top of the hour, coming back to David Grubb. David, let me ask you this. I asked a question before you came on. Can teams like Milwaukee win with the style of play that Giannis has? Can the Rockets win with the style of play that James Harden has? And can the Lakers win with the style of play of either Anthony Davis and or LeBron James, in your opinion?
I think the Lakers are really vulnerable. There's so many things that they don't do well right now. And again, we talked about Avery Bradley before and him getting blamed. I think now it kind of moves. You see it kind of move the direction of like last night, Lakers fans were turning on Anthony Davis. So I think that, there's a lot of pressure there. People are putting it on them to do it for Kobe and do it for this and do it for LeBron. There's a lot of guys on that team who have never had to deal with that kind of pressure. Lakers pressure is different than, it's like Yankees pressure. It's like Red Sox. There's certain franchises where it's just different. And I think Anthony Davis is learning that. And I think they're figuring out that you cannot rely on LeBron to do everything for you. That's not a formula that will work. And I'm worried. If I'm the Lakers, I'm worried that LeBron comes out the next game and tries to score 50. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, then the rest of the Lakers. And if I'm the defense for Portland, good. Go for it. Go for 50. Try it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and I'll give this too. You got to give Carmelo Anthony a lot of credit for his defense last night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. David, stay there. Let me hit the top of the hour ID. We're going to come right back to it. Right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
The legendary 1140 AM KYOK Conroe and 92.3 FM K222CX Houston.
Hi, this is Sonia from Southeast Houston, and your opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
That's the part I had to get, the disclaimer, because, baby, I say some stuff, and I don't want y'all going after the station manager or the sponsors, because that ain't what it is. All right, got David Grubb joining me, Winning Wednesday, right here on the lunch break. Again, happy birthday to Kelsey Nicole Nelson's dad. She had to leave us early so she could go celebrate with the best man in her life, and ain't nobody mad about that. Because you got two fathers with daughters right here, and man, I love my daddy's girl, bro. I love my daddy's girl. So anyway, so you were talking about LeBron possibly coming out and trying to do more than he can, and giving some credit to Melo's defense. It was good to see Melo, have a measure of, man, this is good, because he had a big three late in the game as well.
Yeah, he takes those challenges whenever he's played LeBron. You look over the course of his career, he takes playing against LeBron very seriously, and he did the same with Kobe. I think that's the one regret that I have for Carmelo, is that he didn't approach defense like this every night. Because if he did, it's like you do have a what if. Could he have been that kind of player to at an even higher level than he is? And last night he was frustrating. He was everywhere. He was active, and I think he feels like he's got a legitimate shot here. And that's the thing with the Blazers. You know how much confidence matters. And you watched Nurkic last night physically dominate. You saw Hassan Whiteside physically dominate, and the Lakers played into their hands by staying big and trying to out physical them. They don't have the same mindset. Hassan Whiteside and Yusuf Nurkic are bullies. Mm-hmm. They are bullies, and I don't say it in a bad way. They are basketball bullies. You're gonna feel them when they set a pick. Your bones are gonna feel it when they come for you on they will take a hard foul rather than give you the layup. And you have that mentality that last night you saw it when CJ McCollum is doing step backs. That's confidence, and it's hard to mess with a team when they feel like we're really going. Look at right now, the game that's going on right now, where you got Toronto trailing the Nets by double figures early. What did the Nets do? They're a gang of people that are rejects and leftovers right now. And yet they went through the 8 games, played fantastic basketball. And then, when you're confident, you can come out and maybe shock a team for the first game or so. But I'm not worried about the top seeds overall. You're not worried about. Are you worried about Milwaukee, or do you think they just laid an egg, man? Because to me, if it played out that way, that literally might be the biggest first round upset in the history of the NBA. Mm-hmm. Bigger than the champion Sixers. Remember losing the next year to the New Jersey Nets with Michael Ray Richardson back in 1984. This would be bigger than that if Orlando somehow pulls off beating the Bucks.
And that's why I say, does the style of play, I mean, Giannis had a big game, but they still came up short. Harden has big games, but just like they played so well last night, they could get blown out by 30 tomorrow afternoon. And, look at what's happening with Toronto. Toronto was never in doubt a day ago, 2 days ago, and now they're losing by 10. Is it a style, or was it a night?
I'll look at how you lose. And say, let's always pay attention to how teams lose. If they lost because you're seeing the same problems you saw from day in and day out, like the Lakers, then
Yeah.
If you lose the way Milwaukee lost, or you win the way the Rockets won, it's not really it's not as shocking, because then you say, I mean, you expect Milwaukee had a bad night. Okay, I can live with that. If you're Milwaukee, ultimately you walk back in the locker room and you're upset, and you know Giannis is going to be extremely upset and is going to be ready to play in the next game, and is not going to allow his teammates to be complacent, because he's one of those people who understands how infrequent opportunities are to win championships. So I don't worry about that as much. But if you're a Rockets fan, be happy with the win, but also remember that this Oklahoma City team does the things that the Rockets don't do well. They protect the rim, they do defend, and last night they did not play well.
Yeah.
And we've seen that out of Oklahoma City at times, but we talked about the Rockets' math. There's going to be a night where they're going to put up 45 threes and make 10. It's going to happen. It's just the way that they are. They live with that, and they've decided to go all in on that style of play. I don't think you can win a championship that way, because you will give up too many extra possessions. You won't rebound the ball well enough. And long rebounds on missed threes turn into fast breaks. And defensively, Russell Westbrook and James Harden are not the defender. James Harden is better than he was. He's not as bad as we used to say, but he's not an elite defender up top. And Russell Westbrook is active, but his principles are bad. So you put all the pressure on Robert Covington and PJ Tucker and the rest of those guys every night to play defense. It's not like the Philadelphia 76ers with Allen Iverson, where you had big, burly, strong guys who could come in and create some physical presence. You're asking smaller guys to be your physical presence. And I don't know how long that works. Even if you get past the first round and you're Houston, you got to run up against teams in the second round who all have length.
Yeah.
And 7 games of length is a lot different than one night.
Right. Yeah. What's interesting, when you said that, I jumped over to the stats, 58-41 on the rebounds differential between the Rockets and Oklahoma City. But then you go back up to the top. Oklahoma City shot 44%. Rockets shot 48%. Rockets shot 39% from the three. Some of that nullifies those opportunities on the rebounds, but night in, night out, you're not going to hit those threes like you're hitting. Not the Rockets. We've seen that movie. I'm sorry. Jeff Green ain't going to be, as hot as he was. You got 11 points from PJ Tucker. You might get 3 from him tomorrow.
Yeah.
James Harden might get his, but he might get his on volume as opposed to efficiency. Last night, he was efficient. So
same with Russ. There are nights when Russ is just deciding to jack him, and he'll just lift up from anywhere without hesitation and shoot you right out of a ball game. With Houston, the experience.
But the Rockets fans they've forgotten because last night they were rocking social media like they just beat Golden State in Game 7, and they were on their way to the championship versus, Atlanta. Like, there's no chance we can lose this championship after that one win last night.
It's the first round. You're supposed to win these games, right? You got 2 MVPs on your team. So you're the higher seed. So you're supposed to win game 1. Don't get carried away with what you're supposed to do. Don't get carried away. You were supposed to win game 1. You won game 1.
Yeah.
Now you got 3 more to get.
That's like my oldest son, who used to want a lot of credit for doing what he was supposed to do. It's like, son, I don't reward you for doing what you're supposed to do. Above and beyond, I got you. But what you're supposed to do? Nah, bro. You good. All right. So, I'm going to get you off these Lakers for a second. Portland looks doggone good. I mean, we keep saying that this Portland team is not your average number 8. I think that's the truth. Like, for real. Like, Portland looked Gary Trent Jr., who is this guy? Why is he not a number 2 or number 1 option on somebody else's team?
Because he's still, I think he's in that right now. He's in that Patty Mills kind of stage. where remember when Patty Mills was super sub for San Antonio, and he could come in and have some big nights. And then there were other nights where so I kind of liken him to either a Patty Mills or a Fred VanVleet early on.
Okay.
And we'll see how Gary Trent develops.
Okay.
But there are nights when he doesn't shoot as well, and he's been hot right now. And then he's behind two elite guards. I mean, I'm sorry. It's hard to give him too many significant minutes when I've got Dame Lillard and I got CJ McCollum. I need to get those guys on the floor for 30 plus minutes. So, you try to get Gary Trent Jr. as much as you can, but he's definitely an asset for them. And I think the thing that you want to see, and I spent a lot of time talking about this on the podcast that's coming out today, well, two of them coming out today, but about the Pelicans, is that teams with identity and structure are the teams that you see winning. Mm-hmm. Portland has an identity. Mm-hmm. It's not Damian Lillard that is the identity of Portland. He is the embodiment of that identity.
Right.
But there is a culture that Terry Stotts has in place, and they know who they are. When you see teams struggling in the postseason, it's because they go away from their basic principles.
Right.
And, I think that those, when you look up and down the teams that you think will do well, when I say I don't have faith in Philadelphia, is because they don't have an identity. Mm-hmm. I don't know who they are from game to game. Mm-hmm. And I would say the Rockets can change so much from game to game as to what James decides to do. And that's a lot of power for one player to have on any system, is that your thought process literally can affect the entire team. Right. And that's a tough spot to be in when that one guy supersedes the entire culture.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because I literally owe Dame Lillard an apology. I really do. And I'll give it after this break, but I owe him an apology. So we'll be right back with more right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged.
Have you grab water?
With cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
I'm going to tell you how you can get real health insurance for as little as $6 a day. Yes, now you can get affordable health insurance for you and your family immediately, starting at just $6 a day. And coverage is guaranteed regardless of your medical condition. That's right, for about $6 a day, you can have guaranteed health insurance. And there's dental, vision, and prescription coverage too. You owe it to yourself and your family to make this free call right now and learn more. There are no deductibles, no waiting period, no contracts, and coverage is guaranteed. Call National Health right now for your risk-free guaranteed health insurance quote starting at just $6 a day. Call now.
800-797-0921. 800-797-0921. 800-797-0921. That's 800-797-0921. Paid for by GoHealth.
Hi, this is Sonia from Southeast Houston, and you're listening to The Lunch Break on 92.3 and KYOK.
All right, y'all, back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday, and Willie Gibson, a sports broadcaster and journalist up in the Columbus, Ohio area, said Lakers shot 5 for 32 from 3, missed 11 free throws, and lost by 7 in Game 1. So what I hear in that is, tough night for the Lakers. Let's not give up on them yet.
But it's been consistent throughout this whole time that they've been down there. They've been the worst offensive team in Orlando this entire time. So this is not like a new thing. You can't. If they had been shooting well of the previous 8 games and then laid a stinker, that's the thing. That's why I say we look at how you lose.
Right.
They've been consistent in the manner in which they have lost. Anthony Davis has been shooting under 40% for these games. LeBron James has been shooting under 44%, which is crazy low for LeBron James for most of these games. J.R. Smith has not made shots through all this time. Deion Waiters has not made shots. Danny Green has not made shots. Though all of those things have been consistent over the 9 games that they've been in Orlando. So that's why I think you have to put more weight to it. I picked Portland in 6. I still think they'll win in 6. But yeah, I think this is who the Lakers have been as of late. And if they're waiting for Rajon Rondo to save them, man, that's not going to do it. He can't save this team because if problem, Rondo, it's not what he does.
No.
And he's not going to defend either.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that kind of got me. How was the defense against Portland? Portland had an answer to everything that the Lakers threw at them defensively. And that's where, again, some of the big shots that Trent hit, some of the big shots that, CJ hit, and then that one late by Melo that just kind of stopped the run. Like, just let me go ahead and hit you with this dagger and stop the run. Those were the kind of things that stood out to me. By the other end of the token, or the other side of the token, the Rockets defense. If we can see that kind of defense that they played last night for the rest of this best of 7, I got no problems pushing the Rockets ahead to the next level. They're going to have to do that against either Portland or the Lakers. Right. So that's going to be a step up. Business is going to pick up then. But I have not seen the Rockets be that consistent defensively all season long. So That's why I say some things to me were noticeable.
Yeah, you have to prove that's what the level of effort you're going to bring every night on that end of the floor. And they've been inconsistent with that. And so I think that, you, for the Rockets, you've been in this situation before. You've been in a first-round series against a team that's fairly evenly matched. And we know the Rockets can look brilliant. They can look disjointed, or they can look abysmal. And there aren't many elite teams that have such a wide variance in how they can play from a night-to-night basis, because they are so dependent on outside shooting. They're so dependent on free throws that if Harden isn't getting to the line, or if Westbrook isn't getting to the line, or if threes aren't falling, then they suddenly become a lot easier to defend as a group, because you don't have a bunch of guys who can create their own shot. Yeah. And if you're going to be small, at the very least, all of those guys have to be more than just shooters. They have to be able to get around bigs by putting the ball on the floor and, against length. You have to be able to do that. You've got to be able to get some easy baskets at certain times that don't come from your guards. You have to have your front court involved and get them touches where they can just lay it in or get a dunk. And the Rockets don't always do a great job of creating easy opportunities for their supporting players. And like I said, the defensive intensity and making sure that the ball keeps moving are their biggest downfalls, because they will dribble it and pound the rock into the ground at times. And so I know that's not what Mike D'Antoni wants. So we'll see what happens game 2, game 3. But game 1 is just game 1.
Right. Yeah, that's what I had to give a little bit of credit to the Rockets last night, especially Eric Gordon. They didn't settle for jump shots last night. They put the ball on the court, they drove the basket, and they got some easy shots, and they got out on the break. You know, Daniel House had some nice finishes.
I really like him.
Yeah, they got really on the break. Yeah. Robert Covington was non-existent. And again, just like I'm saying, I believe Oklahoma City, the young cats will get their heads out of the clouds. I think Covington's going to pick up. I just don't know if Green and Gordon are going to be as consistent as they showed last night.
I mean, you know, look, the Rockets win by 15. They had a 21-point advantage from 3. You know, that last night was one of those nights when they went down. You take 52 threes.
Right.
You take 52 threes. Yeah. And you make 20 of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's 40%, you know, like I said, just about 40%. But that volume, that was if you don't get 20 out of those, if it's 14 out of 52, that's a huge difference.
Right.
And so, you know, it's just 5 or 6 shots. That's why that 15-point margin doesn't feel like 15, really. It doesn't feel like 15. If you're Oklahoma City, you didn't walk into the locker room and feel like you got embarrassed. Right. I don't think they walk in that way. I think you walk in and say, well, let's start making the adjustments today. And I think that's the way Chris Paul and Bill with. Because the season when people say it's what did they get away with?
Yeah.
We gave up those points. They didn't score.
Yeah. Real quick, with Dallas, Kristaps Porzingis questionable heading into tonight's game because of a knee, and which is unfortunate because, you know, again, Dallas was right there. They were right there. No Kristaps Porzingis. Are they Shane McMahon? You got no chance?
The good thing for them is that the Clippers don't have a ton of size. So I think you can give the rest of that front court, which they have a good front court, they can make up for some of the things that Porzingis does. You lose that shooting, and you give up 7-2 who can step out. That's a loss. But that's never been Dallas's problem. Their problem is on the perimeter. Tim Hardaway has not played great basketball. And you don't have that perimeter defender that you really need against a team like the Clippers, because it's really going to be about, again, this is one of those nights where Kawhi could have a huge night. Paul George has turned into a jump shooter by and large. Mm-hmm. So I think you can find ways to just keep him off his spot. If you tell Luka, just don't let him catch and shoot. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, just make him work for the shot. But I don't know who guards Kawhi to limit him, because physically I think Kawhi is going to be able to get to his spot. And I think he can dominate them that way. So it's going to be key for Dallas defensively to take away you have to take away the front court scoring. You cannot let Montrezl Harrell get 20 and 10. You cannot have that happen. No. If you're Dallas, the only way you have a chance is if you make Paul George just shoot threes, and if you have to kill on the glass. Dallas is going to have to kill on the glass and just try to get situated. And they're going to have to learn how to execute in the half court, because they don't want to run with the Clippers all night, because they're going to end up giving up more buckets than the Clippers will.
Yeah. All right, let me take a quick break, just 2 quick commercials. We'll do that right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-712-8044. 800-712-8044. 800-712-8044. That's 800-712-8044.
Hi, I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation in a no judgment zone. So join me Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Not So Christian and Me Show, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM and KYOKradio.org.
Beautiful people, this is Major. This is why I love you on the lunch break.
All right, back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Winning Wednesday. And just quick update, just like that, Toronto right back in it. It's 43-40 with about 6 minutes and change left in the first half. So, you know, Toronto say you ain't running away with this one just yet. So we got a caller that called in. Let me get them on the phone. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
AJ, Ferdinand.
Hey, Ferdinand, long time, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good. So far, so good, AJ. I'm listening to you guys, and you know, AJ, me and you've been talking about the Rockets' defense for over 5 or 10 years, and they've never got it corrected. They can't seem to get the right guys in to want to play defense. I don't think they're gonna, you know, as far as winning a championship, it just won't happen. Just don't have the right guys in place, and there's no way the Rockets will ever shoot the percentage that they shot last night every game. It won't happen.
Yeah, you know, here's my thing, Ferdinand. We've talked about this a long time too. Them beating Oklahoma City is not the, you know, not what's on the board up in the locker room. Them getting past the second round is not what's on the board in the locker room. Even them getting to the Western Conference Finals, we've seen them do that with 65 wins, have home court advantage over the Golden State Warriors. It is get out of the Western Conference and get back to a finals. And I got to remind Rocket fans that don't get excited about beating Oklahoma City. You got bigger aspirations. And as I said, it's on 3 people. It's on James Harden, it's on Mike D'Antoni, and it's on Daryl Morey. Those are the 3 that have to produce a championship with this team, or if they don't, those are the 3 that you got to break up, not the rest of the guys. Those are the 3.
Well, I mean, after the season, then those 3 need to be broken up because it's not going to happen. You know, with the money being a problem, it is definitely a major problem. They just couldn't get it together. You know, when you let Capello go at the time that they let him go was the wrong time. And so they just can't get together. I mean, Daryl Morey, he's brought some good guys in, but they just can't get over the hump. And so that chemistry is just not a fix. So they definitely going to have to do something if the Rockets going to ever win a championship. Like I say, AJ, if they win it, it will surprise me, but I just do not see Mr. Grubb them ever winning a championship with the beard.
Well, let me be me for a minute. If they win it, I'm gonna be down there at the parade as if I was on board the whole time. If they don't win it, I'm gonna say I told you so. So it's a no lose proposition for me, Ferdinand.
Yeah, I'm still a Rockets fan. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm a diehard Rockets fan, but I've seen what has happened down through the years, and it just hadn't been a lot of positive aspects for me and going in the right direction to win a championship. Yeah, you've got some good names that come and go, but just for just building that solid foundation, I just haven't seen it. And I think we went backwards instead of, gaining a step. And I just don't see the Rockets doing anything. I think the Lakers will be they'll be okay. But the Rockets, we're just not ready right now.
Yeah, we both said the same thing, that, you know, the Rockets are in a win now mode. They got to win right now. If they don't win right now, they're going to be another fourth place, fifth place team next year. They're not on the uptrend. They're on the right now trend.
Absolutely. And I think we're losing D'Antoni as a coach, correct?
Well, let's just say this. They didn't extend him, and him and Tillman Fertitta are not they're not quarantined together. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I appreciate the call as always, Ferdinand. Call of the year 2017. Hey man, be safe out there. And just FYI, I have definitely been keeping you in my prayers.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate it, because that's been a little reason why I haven't been on board. I mean, it's been a struggle, but man, I thank you and all the intercessors, man, for doing that. But appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, brother. We'll talk to you soon, man. Yeah, y'all definitely keep Ferdinand, his family, in your prayers. He has been dealing with a lot, and you know, again, that's my brother. Very first caller we ever had on this show 3 years ago, and he's been calling ever since. So, but yeah, man, my you know, everybody talks about the blowing it up. Again, the three that have to produce a championship in this city: Mike D'Antoni, Daryl Morey, and James Harden, because they have run in everybody that they could to play with Harden. It didn't work out with Howard, didn't work out with Chris Paul, it might not work out with Russ. If it doesn't, you cannot blame the other guys. You can't get it on Covington. You can't say something about Gordon or what have you. You got to bring in somebody who's going to do something different. I love Daryl Morey. And Daryl I trust, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And again, when they needed to go out and get a coach, who did they bring in? They brought in Mike D'Antoni. So guess what? You're tied to him, and they built it all around James Harden. And none of this happened under Tillman Fertitta. And that's why I said, if anybody's going to get blown up, it'll be those three in some fashion under Tillman Fertitta.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And again, this goes back to the term culture. You cannot build your identity around a player.
Mm-hmm.
Culture is bigger than any one player, any coach. Your organization has to have an understanding of what it is. When you look at San Antonio, when you look at Miami, when you look at Toronto, when you look at Portland, when you look at the teams that have a firm, when you watch them play, when you talk about the Grind City Memphis Grizzlies,
yeah,
3 coaches over that time period,
yep.
3 different coaches, same principles, basically. You know what I mean? Didn't play the exact same way, but same principles. The Rockets don't have principles. You have a philosophy of all. It's not new. And for people who don't have perspective, what Mike D'Antoni's doing is not genius. Paul Westhead was doing the same thing in 1980. Okay? So this is not brand new. But when you commit to this as a philosophy, we've seen that it has had a ceiling up to this point. It has not gotten anybody past the Western Conference Finals. Not a team that D'Antoni's been associated with, not a team that plays with that volume of shooting. No one. So, yeah, it's on those people. And I think if I'm the owner, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what I have in Harden is a great player, but I don't have a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not a knock on James Harden.
No, it's not.
But he is not the kind of player that you follow. You know what I mean? He's not that guy. You watch his greatness. You participate in it. But he's not the guy who's going to be in the room and pull everybody together and say, it stops now when the other team is making a run. Or, look, I need you to get in this spot. They're not taking advantage. That's not Harden. That's not what he's doing. That's not who he is. That's not how he's programmed. And so you've put this mix together, and for anything, there's an expiration date. And if you're the Rockets, you're now starting to take steps backwards overall. You put on this Band-Aid of playing small ball for the rest of this season, but that's not going to last next year. It's not going to last the year after that. So they need to figure out who they are as a franchise. When you had Olajuwon, when you had that, whether it was with Rudy T or whomever, Houston had an identity of how they played basketball. And so I think that those are the teams that are successful. And right now, the Rockets' identity is wrapped up in one guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. The identity almost has to be a winning identity or a sustainable identity. I mean, this is great. It's fun to watch, but the Rockets are not investing all the money that they're investing in two guys for them to be a number 4 seed, number 5 seed, just to make the top 8. And again, Tillman Fertitta is not Les Alexander. Tillman Fertitta is not the sit back, lay back, and let this just happen kind of guy. So I'll be very interested to see, A, if they get out of the first round, because I'm not giving it up just yet. B, if they make it out of the second round, because again, that is not what's on the vision board back in the bowels of the locker room. If they don't get out of the Western Conference, again, been there, done that, seen it. Sorry. It's just the truth, nothing but the truth. So help me, you know who.
And what do you decide, too? A team, how many teams have been successful being led by a free agent without some internal development of players? The Rockets' entire starting 5 is from somewhere else.
Yep.
That speaks to the decisions that your general manager has made. That you talk about quick fixes. This is what you do when you're making quick fixes. You have not taken the time. The one player that you drafted and were developing, you shipped him off to Atlanta.
Right.
So you have a team that's made up of guys from other places, and you've jammed them together in a short period of time. This is why culture is so important. You have to have people who understand what you're asking them to do. And right now, you're asking a bunch of guys to build chemistry and create this system on the fly that you really only had, 20 plus games doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's bring up something that a lot of folks, have either forgotten about or are not talking about anymore. Don't forget that Tillman Fertitta wanted to fire Daryl Morey after the Hong Kong tweet. Don't forget that just a couple of months ago, and I'm not talking about 3, in a meeting with the president, Tillman Fertitta was still bringing up the Daryl Morey tweet. So do not think that if the Rockets don't advance whatever their internal goals and aspirations were, if they don't hit them, that Tillman Fertitta is not going to allow that to play into the fact that he might just be ready to move in a different direction. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you cost us billions of dollars with your tweet.
I would think that decision's already been made. I would think that much like how Alvin Gentry was fired and David Griffin said he's not sure if anything that Alvin could have done would have changed his mind at that point. I think that decision's already been made. When you have open rifts between the owner and the general manager, the owner and the head coach, we saw it last year in dealing of the Bizdelic situation in Houston.
That's why I ain't no fan of Bizdelic.
I'm just saying, in the way it was handled, and having to fire him and then bring him back, and that's not how good teams are run.
Right.
And so, I think Fertitta's made his decision not only on the fact that you cost me a bunch of money and he's already a skinflint. You take all the rest of that. On top of that, I don't think fundamentally he's looking at his balance sheet. And like you said, I'm paying $70 million for my backcourt. In a league that the cap may go down significantly over the next year or so. Absolutely. In a league where I may not get another 82 games in next season, which is going to affect my revenue. And my team appears to have plateaued, if not has started to go in the opposite direction of where I want it to go. I look at the age of my players, and they're all at my core group is all over 30. It is very rare also in the NBA to win your first championship as a group when your core is over the age of 30. Yeah. That does not happen particularly often.
Yeah. No, I got to tell you, man, because even the president asked or made the statement, well, he must be pretty good if you haven't fired him. And it wasn't a raving review in the answer that that Tillman Fertitta gave about Daryl Morey. All I'm saying is all those things could come into play if the Rockets fall short of their goal.
I think unless they win a title, I think D'Antoni and Daryl Morey are gone. And I think they're going to have to make a hard decision about the future of James Harden.
Yeah.
That at this point, what is the returns are going to start to diminish at some point for you with Harden. You're paying him this money. You're going to get to this stage in his career where he's going to ask for that next extension, and he will not be the asset that he is today. I'm not saying they definitely should trade James Harden. I don't want people all up in my mention saying I said the Rockets need to trade James Harden. But at the same time, if I bring in my next GM and he hires or she hires a new coach, whomever that is, then I need to give them the flexibility to do what they want to do as far as their long-term plan. And if that includes assessing the value of James Harden and talking about the long-term direction of my franchise, then I need to be able to allow that person to do that. Not allowing them to do that is setting yourself up for stagnation.
Yeah. I got to take a quick break. When we come back, I got to get to Nick Saban. I just got to. I can't let it go. I know he is the greatest of all time and ever will be, and blase, blah, blah, blah. But I got to get to Nick Saban. So let's do that when we come back. Right here on the lunch break on the Legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It is our Winning Wednesday. I want to thank David Grubb for hanging out with us. I want to thank Kelsey Nicole Nelson for dropping in early. Again, happy birthday to her dad, celebrating his birthday today. We'll be right back right after this on the lunch break.
You're listening to 1140 AM and 92.3 FM, the Legendary KYOK.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment?
Hey, did Kelsey send you this thing about the NABJ Sports Task Force Slack? On the Slack app?
I got to check my email because Renee Washington was supposed to send me the whole list, and I hadn't checked today.
Okay.
So I'm at the reminder because I'm having her on the show this week, but I don't see the email from her yet. So if you have it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Here it is. I got it. I got invited to. Oh no, that's not it. Yes. No, that ain't it. Okay, it's a different one. Yeah, if you have it, send it to me. I need it.
All right, I'm gonna send this over to you.
780-1431. 800-780-1431.
And then she told me to be sure to introduce myself when I join.
780-1431.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits.
And then there was a spreadsheet
flowers.
she sent me in.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
Instagram.
For as low as $1,
Yeah, I didn't get that either, so hit me with that one.
money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people.
I wish they'd done it in alphabetical order.
If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle,
I'm not on here. I got to put myself in.
you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We're back right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, along with David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and CrescentCitySports.com, where he writes. And we're just chopping it up here on Winning Wednesday. Nick Saban, best football coach ever was, ever will be, bar none, says that if the ACC, Big 12, and ACC play in 2020, he thinks that there should still be a playoff. And he also said that he doesn't understand the whole thing about spring football. That's kind of like JV versus varsity. To me, and I know it's Nick Saban, and I know I'm supposed to genuflect and cross myself and everything, dig in my ear or something at his greatness. This is why you don't need college football coaches talking. This is why, dude, let them talk about their players. Let them talk about the upcoming schedule. Let them talk about the community, the school. But once they get outside of that, man, it is risky. And I'm sorry. I'm not impressed with anything that Nick Saban had to say, other than the fact that it makes it sound like you just won another championship under your name, given the fact that your behind was left out of it altogether last year. They couldn't find a way to squeeze Alabama into it last year, or they would have. And come heck or high water, you want to find a way to show everybody that Nick Saban and Bama is back.
Yeah, he doesn't want football with no stakes, because then he's worried that he's not going to make as much money. Because a championship is part of his money. Another championship is a boost in his salary. So that's what and you saw with Lane Kiffin today too, talking about, well, let the Big Ten kids and these kids transfer right now. And I told you that was going to be a legal thing that started to come up, but that's not
that first. Urban Meyer had the nerve to say that 2 or 3 days ago. Let the kids from the Big Ten and Pac-12 become immediately eligible to transfer. And it's like, Urban, sit this one out.
What do you think's going to happen if that's the case? If Justin Fields becomes immediately available as a transfer candidate, a kid who's up for the Heisman Trophy coming out of Ohio State, and you telling me that the ACC is playing and the SEC is playing, how you gonna make that boy make a decision real quick without trying to throw some stuff at his family? You think the cash is not gonna flow if all those kids suddenly become available for transfer? And then what happens? You talk about those schools. What happens to those kids who are already there? And you start saying, well, hey, we got a chance to get this kid from this school and he's a starter and we don't need this guy anymore. Well, now what you going to do about that? Because the schools have reached their roster limits and their scholarship limits. What are you going to do? You going to cut some kids? The message you're continuing to see?
Did you see Harlem Nights? So if I'm Nick Saban, I call my starting quarterback right now. Yo, put Johnny on the phone. Hey, listen, Johnny, we got Justin Fields. You ain't coming home no more. And hang up and feel very good about it. It's just
He would. He wouldn't care. He doesn't care about that kid, whoever the kid is, because the coaches do it every year. Over recruiting, over scholarships, all those things, letting people go. So I have no doubt that a bunch of coaches would make heartless decisions and send these kids out, especially after they just said they all deserve to play. There aren't enough schools for them to all transfer to. There aren't enough programs for them to all transfer to. And you're going to have to, again, do all the health stuff that you're bringing these kids in from other states and cities and telling their families, but they're going to relocate right now after you've been used to them being there wherever they are for 3 or 4 years. And now you're going to relocate your child and send them to a new coach, a new staff, people you don't know. I just don't see how that is going to be something legally and practically that you can do if you're talking about a season that starts in September or early October. How are you going to navigate all the pratfalls of trying to make that equitable and make it without rampant cheating?
Yeah. So is Nick Saban smarter than I'm giving him credit for?
No.
Oh, okay. Because
he's a self-serving opportunist, just like the rest of them. And I'm not saying that he's a bad man, but as a football coach, this is what they are. This is what they are.
I feel like I need a shower. I feel like I need a bath. I feel dirty.
The whole system.
can you really not talk about winning a championship right now? Like, I get that the college football playoff is not a part of the NCAA, but that still doesn't mean you go out there and I was joking the other day when I said, if I'm Tom Herman and I go 6-1 or 8-1 or however many games they're going to play, throw up a banner, buy a ring, and strut around as if you are the Big 12 or the NCAA and the NCAA champ. But little did I believe that someone like Nick Saban would go out there with a straight face and say, we still need to crown a champion, even though we only got 3 of the 5 power schools playing, and a bunch of other conferences that are not playing either.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because what you're saying again is you're putting football ahead of everything. And if that's the case, we need to start shutting these universities down. If that's what they are, if the number one thing, if their purpose is to make sure that there's football on Saturdays every year, if they can't survive without it, then they need to be shut down, because that's not the purpose of these institutions. And I love sports as much as anybody else, if not more. And I love college sports, but I would give it up for the right thing. I would give it up for the right thing in a minute. If the system could be better, you could stop exploiting these athletes and using them for the economic gain of a very small number of people, then I would gladly forego college sports forever. If you could find another way to do this, because this isn't working. It's not working for education. It's not working for athletics. It's not working for equity. It's not working to improve racial, diversity within these departments. It's not working in graduating players. It's not working in taking care of health. It's not working in any way possible other than generating money. And for those people who it's generating money for, that's all that matters.
Yeah. David, we'll leave it with that, man. What's the latest update on Toronto and Orlando? Brooklyn, I'm sorry. Toronto and Brooklyn. Of course,
halftime, Nets up 3.
Okay. Yeah.
So Toronto's made its run, get back into it, and settle down. I think that Toronto, I'm not worried about Toronto either. I'm not worried. They got a great start out of Karis LeVert, who's played great basketball this whole time.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert is making himself some money. I think people are going to be actively trying to get a hold of him during this offseason, because there aren't enough shots when Durant and Kyrie Irving are back.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of like the same thing you were talking about with Trent and by playing behind CJ and Dame. Again, let me go ahead and give this apology to Dame Lillard, man. Let me get my prepared statement. I, AJ Jones, host of The Lunch Break on the Legendary KYOK, do hereby retract statements that I made about Damian Lillard, also known as the Dame Dollar, that he could only win rap battles, even though I believe he did not beat Shaq. He is a good basketball player. Thank you. I will not take any questions. All right. There we go. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, my brother.
At DM Grubb on Twitter and Instagram, HITP with DG on Instagram as well, and my website, hitpwithdg.com.
And you got 2 podcasts coming out today. What's on the?
Yeah. So the first one is about 2.5 hours long on the Pelican season, and just wrapping that up with my man Dino Hansen. And then we have the Dome Patrol with me and Ross Jackson, which is like an hour and a half in of itself, talking about the Saints today as well. If you haven't listened to me before, it may be some time in these podcasts on occasion, but they flow. And I say that is a great credit to the guests that I get who make that possible. And I am speaking with our friend, Mr. Jones tomorrow. So we'll be doing my podcast tomorrow as well.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Good week. We're going to have a good week, so people check it out.
Looking forward to it, man. Appreciate you as always, David. Be safe out there. Tell the fam we said hello. How are you doing, man? Is she online or is she in person school?
Online. Yeah, she didn't want it. We didn't want it. So we're happy to have her. And we, scheduling her up well with flexibility. We put she needs those, every kid needs those parameters, and it's really hard when you're teaching from home and trying to help them that way. But I can access all of her work and I can help her and all those things. So, Natalia, she's just upbeat and ready to take on anything.
All right, man. Tell her Aunt said hey.
I shall.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you on Monday, man.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all have a great one.
David Grubb, Hard in the Paint, right here on the lunch break. Let me get Sybil Wilkes in, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up right here on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Here is your coronavirus update. Uh-oh, I hit the wrong thing too hard.
To know today about the coronavirus. As students nationwide return to college campuses, schools are reporting hundreds of positive COVID-19 cases. At least 155 students in one dorm at Colorado College in Colorado Springs are now in quarantine after a student who tested positive did not practice social distancing mandates. Health officials with the FDA are warning of potential accuracy issues with a widely used coronavirus test could lead to false results. Last month, health officials in Connecticut reported that at least 90 people, mostly nursing home residents, received false positive results. Researchers at the University of Southern California say they've discovered that the symptoms of the coronavirus tend to appear in a specific order. According to the study, the most likely order of symptoms is fever, then cough, then muscle pain, followed by nausea and or vomiting, and lastly, diarrhea. Please visit SybilWilkes.com to subscribe to my free daily newsletter. Be informed, be empowered.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, let me go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. Really enjoyed the show today. I want to again thank Kelsey Nicole Nelson for dropping by. Y'all be sure and drop by her page, wish her dad a happy birthday, and also want to appreciate David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com, for always making himself available to us. You guys, I cannot tell you how much I really appreciate each and every one of you and how you love on the guests that we have. Thank you for the way you loved on Greg Padgett yesterday, on Dr. Casey Solari Williams. Again, man, y'all are absolutely phenomenal. That being said, Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give us the best in gospel music, latest in the gospel music industry. Donnie does his thing every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. In the morning, you got Erica Campbell and Griff Get Up Mornings. Then you've got my girl Linda J. And then you've got Shiloh Radio. So don't miss any of that. Your boy will be back with Throwback Thursday. And, of course, got some special guests lined up for you tomorrow. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it except wear your mask, wash your hands for 30 seconds or more, and be sure and sanitize everything around you. And be sensitive to everybody around you, man. When you see that racism, kill it. Not the person, the racism. We can do this together. All right? As always, y'all, I love y'all. Y'all be safe. All right, lunch breakers. Good day. Very good day. Very good day. Want to appreciate Todd for calling in. Want to appreciate Keith Hennig as always. Want to appreciate you all. I love watching y'all talk about different stuff and how y'all, bring the love to each other, man. That's what family does, and that's how we're going to get through all this as a family. So I do, man. Don't ever think I don't value you. I don't appreciate you. Just because I don't always respond doesn't mean I don't pay attention. A lot of times I go back after the show, and I'm just cracking up like as if it's going on. So nothing but love for y'all. Y'all be safe out there. We'll talk to y'all. Lord say the same tomorrow.